Good day and welcome back to the Family Cyber Clinic. We're going to discuss webcam security. Webcam security. So if you use a smartphone or a computer, that's connected to the internet, or you have a camera or what you call a webcam connected to a computer and you have access to the internet, your webcam safety could be compromised by hackers and what the internet call peeping Tom spies. So you have spies who can, want harm for you, basically. And they can do that simply by compromising your camera. It's odd that I'm starting the video with questions, but the questions will help us answer some of the questions you may have. And I found these on the internet. And as I said, I do the research so that you do not have to. The internet is such a rich resource for this information. I take no credit for the information that I'm presenting to you. I give credit to most of the websites where I get this information from in the description. Importantly, I want you to be empowered. And so I saw questions that I felt if we answer those questions together, you will understand the risks. Now, a typical question will be, how do you know if your webcam has been hacked? Now, this does require some technical skills, but if you are on the Windows operating system, for example, you can simply right-click on the desktop and you have what's called a task manager as one of the options to choose from. If you choose the task manager option, it will bring up another screen that will show you a lot of things, but the focus will be on processes. So what processes are running on the Windows operating system? And you will be able to tell by just name, and to a large extent it's pretty straightforward. It shouldn't be rocket science. You would know what processes are being run. And then you see a webcam utility. If it is running, you see it running. And if you're not running it, of course, you'll be asking yourself the question, how is it that it's running? And one way to do is you try to run the webcam and you may get an error message saying that the webcam is already in use. And that is usually not a very comforting thing because you've not enabled it. Some can tell that the webcam is in use by a LED being on. You either have a blinking red or a constant green light on most Apple computers. But ultimately, if you've not started the webcam, then it shouldn't be running. And that's one way. Certainly you can tell if you're being hacked or you have been hacked or there's malware playing games on you. So that's important to note. And then, as I've said, if you want to know whether your camera has been hacked, the blinking light is usually an indication because you didn't run it. You've not started it. So if it's blinking, how is it doing that? That's also another possibility. Now, the one that's quite disturbing is, can someone hack your webcam without the light coming on? And I was, amazed to find out that it is possible for someone to log onto your computer, turn your webcam on without the LED lights coming on, which are usual indicators that it's in use, and still cause havoc. So of course that will make it much harder for you to tell if you're being secretly recorded. And that's just what it is. And that's why, this forum, this community is quite key. That, just enlightening you enough is a win for me. Because some of us do not know these things. Can hackers see you through your phone camera? Yes, they can. In fact, I know that governments, I think I've watched some movies, and movies usually give an indication of what's happening in the society. It's a reflection. But hackers can hack your phone's camera. Think about it this way. When you install WhatsApp You install Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Viber, and so forth. Usually, they will ask you for access to your front camera and your back camera. Ask for access to your audio. Think about it. If they have access to those things, none of those vendors I've just mentioned will inadvertently try to pull that information without your permission. But I'm talking about hackers. So let's say you have a loose password, a very weak password, and someone compromises your computer. If they compromise your computer, they've logged on, or your phone, I should say. If they log on to any of those, they have access to WhatsApp, to all those things that have access to your phone. And so you can see how it will just build up. So hackers can see you through your phone camera if they get access. At some point, we'll talk about password security in our journey together. But if you have weak passwords set, your computer gets compromised by hackers, and all those access requests from those vendors I mentioned that were designed to be of benefit to you now work against you. So it is definitely possible for hackers to see you through your phone camera. And that may be frightening for some, but it's the reality, I have to tell you. So is it really likely that you're being watched through your laptop camera? Yes. But only if your computer is compromised. And that's why all the things that we've shared so far about how we must control our, what our children look at, how we must lock down our computers, we should patch our computers. All those things prevent hackers from coming in the first place to compromise your computer and do these nasties. So there is a likelihood, as long as we are not practicing good internet etiquette, good computer etiquette, then we're laid bare for the hacker. So it's important that we understand that it is possible. I'm not saying that to frighten you, I'm saying that to empower you. So you have to do something about it. So what can we do? What can we do about it? This may shock some of you, may not shock some, but something as simple as just covering the camera with a tape. A tape. You get a tape, like so, and I hope the camera is picking it up. Tape, and just cover the camera when it's not in use. Simple. As they say, simples. But you just cover the camera. Whenever you're not using the camera, you cover it. When you want to use it, you take it off. And it's so basic. But imagine that you have a computer in the central room, like I've mentioned in one of the videos. You place it in the computer in the lounge or the living room. Yeah, if you click the information bar, you can go back and look at that video. But it's in a central place, and if you're not using the camera, just cover it. You cover the camera, no one can see you. When you're ready to use the camera, you do the same. And of course, I've mentioned that sometimes you may not even know that people are looking at you because it may not show that it's actually recording with the indicators, the LED indicators. Well, that goes out of the window because you've covered the camera. They can't see you. When you want to use it, at least you're there and you're purposely trying to use the camera, you use the camera. So it's important that you cover the laptop camera, the phone camera, whatever it is, with a tape, some big tape, some small tape, when you're not using it. It may seem quite bogus and unnecessary, covering your expensive £1,000 phone with a little tape, or, well, if you're that bothered, if you're bothered. I can tell you that Amazon and some other vendors sell very posh gadgets that you can use to cover your camera. You have it for normal computers, you have it for iMacs, you have it for laptops, you have it for some phones. Just a little gadget that opens up and closes. You close it when you're not using it, and you open it when you want to use it. It's a simple tup tup. And you've taken care of this. So it seems so simple in a tech-driven world. One will not think that that's such a big deal. But, if they can't see you, they can't do any harm. And so covering the camera on those devices is the simplest thing you and I can do. And I've read even, I think it was in 2016, the FBI director, his name is James Comey, was famously known to recommend that we should all cover our webcams with tape for security reasons. Doing so is a simple step for people to take responsibility for their safety and security online. FBI recommended. If you're particularly, as I said, bothered about cheap tape over expensive kit, then buy the Amazon equivalents or alternatives. It's important. Cover the camera and no one sees you. Particularly if you've not taken my advice, and I hope you take my advice, and you place the computer in the central place, which is my recommendation to every member and those who are visiting. Place the computer in a central place where there's a lot of accountability. But if you have some other reasons and some mitigations, I'm hoping you have, to place the computer in the bedroom of the child, where I'm frightened to even think about it, where the child is, that's a private place. So if your camera is compromised, via the computer being compromised, then you have people who are looking in to the private affairs of your children. I'm not going to color it up because I don't want to alarm you, but I'm using the word private to mean everything that he or she doesn't want the world to see. And so the dangers are real. So those things, as basic as they sound, you must take it to heart. The lesson is simple. We should cover the webcam when it's not in use, open it up when it needs to be used. For that little inconvenience, you and I will be protecting our children from rogues and the peeping Tom spies that I mentioned earlier. Another simple, quick video that I felt that you would benefit from. So we're going to jump to what's new in the clinic. I'm on the lookout for information that will just be a blessing to everyone who is a part of this journey. And those who are dropping by, that is the mandate of this channel. Look for ways to make us take back control from the rogues. I saw this on scambuster.org.uk. An expert, his name is Jack Turner, a content manager with a site, it's just tech.co. He reported a scam, and I don't think I've mentioned the word phishing on this channel. There'll be a video that will go into much more detail. And he mentioned that the scam is on the increase and it's on YouTube, but YouTube have gotten their act together and they've protected many of their members from this phishing attack. Phishing, just for a very brief breakdown of what it is simply someone sends you, let's say, an email, and in the email there's a link to somewhere you think is safe but is not safe. So they're using it to trick you, they're using it to deceive you. You click the link and it doesn't give you what you thought the link will be giving you. And that basically is a phish. In very simple terms. As I said, I'll create a video that will go into much more detail. So there's a phishing trick that's out there that can deceive you into believing that something good is in the offing, and it may deceive you into giving information that you really should not be giving. It's just simply fraudulent. And you won't suspect it at all. And so Turner has given some tips. And these are tips that I would have loved to have shared with you at the launch. But again, a launch can only be so long. But these tips I'm giving you now are going to be useful. They are very useful. And that's why I'm taking the pain to read it out to you. The first one is beware of unsolicited content, content that you have not requested. And I boldly even go further and say unsolicited contacts. So if you've not formed a friendship or a bond with anybody, and you get an email that's quite detailed from that person, contacting you out of the blue, especially if they're offering you some sort of prize or financial gift, be wary. Stay away from it. The second tip is don't click on unfamiliar links. Watch out especially for site names that look very similar. I do know that there was a scam, 2-3 years ago, where the scammer or the rogue would present a bank URL like hsbc.co.uk, but you won't know unless you've been doing online banking for so long that that what you're looking at is really not the site you're supposed to go to. So don't click on unfamiliar links. Watch out especially for the site names. You may see some errors in the name, for example. Just pay attention. Don't provide confidential information on the promise of a gift or a prize. It's so tempting, but do not do it, please. Do not do it. Don't yield to pressure. You see some sites say, act now. The favorite trick of scammers is to set a deadline for you to collect your prize or gift. If you don't do it now, it will expire in 20 minutes. Because you're desperate, many of us are. Some aren't, but hey, they present you with an offer of a lifetime and you're going to jump to it. So I'm giving you the advice, don't. Now look out for spelling mistakes. In that link I mentioned, you may see HSPC. P. Notice the difference? hspc.co.uk. It's not the same as HSBC. So check out for common, those sort of things, spelling mistakes, poor grammar. And the reason why it's happening is because some of these scams are coming from abroad, where English is not their first language. They often get it wrong. And these were tips that I got from the chap Turner. And that's the news in the clinic this week. I'll leave you with this PowerPoint. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. I'm your host, Cyber Pastor Lawrence Eden. See you next week. Goodbye.
Someday I'll see that your true love